Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? I just watched The Last Jedi last night, and let me tell you, it was just, oh my god, insane. A mixture of emotions. There were moments that were just hard to comprehend, to read, to follow, but overall in general, the movie really, did well for itself. And before I get into, the whole review and discussion part of this video, I'm going to already issue a spoiler warning. So for those of you who haven't watched the movie yet, don't even watch this video. Just pause right now, leave it paused on your search history, go watch the movie, then come back and watch this video, okay? Unless you don't plan on watching it or don't really care about spoilers, then go right ahead. Final warning, spoilers ahead. Now, The Last Jedi, as you guys should know, picks up directly after The Force Awakens. And now here's the thing. George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, has said on more than one occasion that the Star Wars saga is like poetry. It rhymes, so there are certain things that like mirror each other, to some certain degree. Like Luke Skywalker mirrors Anakin Skywalker, and in a way, if you watch both the trilogies, the original and the prequel trilogies, you see that happening, they sort of mirror each other. And I think that the new Star Wars movies that Disney are dishing out are doing just that. They are sort of mirroring the other movies because, I mean, The Force Awakens was pretty much an exact copy of Episode 4 if you really stop to analyze it. And so far, from what I've seen, it's going the way of the original trilogy because The Last Jedi sort of kind of mirrors Episode 5, sort of. It has a lot of all the other movies sprinkled in it, I'm gonna try to explain that a little bit better. There are a lot of scenes in The Last Jedi that really bog the movie down, don't really make that much sense. There were some scenes like in this casino planet where they go to apparently, I forgot exactly what they go. I'm sorry guys, the plot is still a little blurry because I just watched it last night and I'm still my mind is still processing it. I don't remember what Finn and the other character went on that planet to do, but they were there and it just seemed sort of like the Phantom Menace, episode 1, because there's so much crap that boggles it down, It didn't really feel in place for a Star Wars movie. But anyway, I think that the absence of Han Solo really hit me right in the gut because, as you guys should know, he died in The Force Awakens, and now Chewbacca has these apparently new companions flying the Millennium Falcon with him. These really cute little creatures, I forgot what they're called, and Chewbacca's an asshole to them. He treats them like, it's like animal abuse, There's a scene where he's eating some chicken and they're like looking at him like little puppy eyes, and he doesn't even offer it to them. He just flicks them away. Chewbacca is becoming a dick. And we also see C-3PO. C-3PO plays a sort of a minor role in the movie, but he's in it a lot more than the last one I can remember. There's also R2-D2. R2-D2 meets up with Luke Skywalker again. It's so awesome, the nostalgic moment. He shows him a message that Princess Leia sent him back in Episode 4. Oh my god, it's so awesome. And Luke, let's talk about Luke. He's now the seasoned veteran Jedi Master that Ben Kenobi once was. He's the wise old man now. And Luke seems to be a bit unbalanced and unstable at the beginning of the movie because Rey gives him his lightsaber that was at the end of The Force Awakens, and he just throws it over a cliff behind him. Like, what the hell? All that build up for that. And he's a bit more, sarcastic and witty, but he also does take things seriously, as you will see throughout certain scenes. I think that Luke stepping into the role of the wise old man trope, like Ben Kenobi was back in the original trilogy, is very interesting because we saw Luke being the Padawan, the learner, the apprentice, and now he's the one who's teaching, or trying to. He tries to teach Rey, but there's a bit of conflict inside of that character because there's a moment where he tells her to focus and really feel and reach out, with the Force. And she does, but apparently she goes straight to the dark side when it tempts her, and Luke is surprised by it. That's the part of the trailer where it says that he's seen that kind of raw power once before, and he's talking about Ben Solo, Kylo Ren, and it didn't scare him then, but it does now. It did in Rey. There were a lot of theories going around. I think maybe one of my favorites is this one right here by Film Theory, MadPat, that said that, Rey would turn to the dark side and betray Luke, ultimately. You would think she was on his side, but she wasn't. It's a really good video. I'm not going to get into too much into it because this own video is going to be too long, but it's a really good video. You guys should watch it later. And here's the thing. There's a lot that happened in this movie, and Kylo Ren is a character that... Oh, Snoke. I didn't talk about Snoke yet. Snoke finally is revealed in the flesh. You know, he's pretty intimidating. He's sort of like the Darth Sidious type of Sith Master character we see, but he goes out like a chump. You know, he's introduced, and I don't think he gets even a half hour of screen time before Kylo Ren kills him. Very, very epic kill. Very reminiscent of Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, where Vader brings Luke before Palpatine. It's Kylo Ren who brings Rey before Snoke. And just like in Episode 6, like where Vader kills Sidious, Kylo Ren kills Snoke. He's about to kill Rey with his lightsaber, but Luke's lightsaber, which was with Rey, is sitting here on the throne next to Snoke, and then, without Snoke noticing, Kylo Ren uses the Force to turn the lightsaber towards Snoke and ignites it, and he cuts him in half. And it's really, really awesome. And in that scene, Kylo Ren and Rey, they join forces for a while, and they kill all of the Imperial Guards and everything. It's a very violent and very awesome, intense scene. But then he switches gears again, because he's an asshole. You know, Kylo, again, goes back to the dark side. It doesn't really make that much sense to me. But anyway, talking about Kylo specifically, there's a moment before all that build-up where he and Rey have some kind of Force connection, and they can see each other through the Force and speak. They can communicate. There's even one scene where they can actually see each other. They touch hands, and then Kylo is temporarily in front of her, then he vanishes. And you almost think that there's gonna be a team up, you know? One of my favorite theories is that Kylo and Kylo and Rey were actually brother and sister, like Luke and Leia, so it would all again mirror the original trilogy. And there's a part where Kylo says, "I've seen your parents, and I know that you're going to join me because of that." So you think, so their parents are the same, they're brother and sister. But then again, there's a scene where Kylo says that her parents were junk, they were trash, and they just left her there on that planet. So completely checked out that theory. I just don't understand. And at the end, Kylo was really, really rampant again, going on a rampage. He fought Luke. There was a very epic lightsaber duel at the end, but I'm going to get to that later. Leia. Unfortunately, Carrie Fisher passed away last year, sometime after the movie was completed, I believe. And she was still included in the film, of course. And there was a scene that was a bit absurd. Well, I thought it was, at least, because Carrie, even though she's Force sensitive, there's a moment where she gets sucked into the vacuum of space and she survives. Like, she survives for a while, then she reaches out with the Force and uses it to get back into her ship. That, I think, is kind of BS, until a friend of mine explained to me that you can apparently survive in space for about a minute before, you know, things start to get ugly. But, okay, then again, to be fair, there isn't supposed to be sound or explosions in space either, and since Star Wars does all of that, I'll just let that one slide. There was a lot of humor this time around. There was a lot of moments that were there for comic relief, and they were funny, even if they seemed out of place for a Star Wars movie, you know, because I always looked at Star Wars movies to be very, very serious, you know, and we could, even though they're serious, we fans can find the humor in them, you know, with characters like Han Solo and Lando Calrissian back in the original trilogy. And I think that there are certain characters who can provide comic relief if done right. But some of them, even Obi-Wan was a bit witty back in the prequel trilogy. But I think that the way that they made humor happen here, like, it was a bit, you know, cheesy, but for a Star Wars movie, it was cheesy humor. But it was still good anyway, overall, I don't mind, so yeah. Now, a lot of characters were developed this time around. Luke became something quite interesting, you know. Towards the end, he just became such a badass. And there was also a cameo appearance by Yoda that was really awesome. Yoda appears as a Force spirit. They used the puppet Yoda from back in the original trilogy this time around instead of using CGI, which looked very strange. But then again, maybe they wanted to keep the continuity, you know. They used the puppet in Episode 6, so let's continue using the puppet now in the new episode, just so it takes place afterwards, right? But I would have preferred CGI, but okay, whatever. At least maybe it was for continuity, what have you. And very interesting to see Yoda and Luke sort of reunited, because Luke is now a seasoned old man, you know, and he was so much younger back when, you know, Yoda first met him. And that same friend of mine who I had a discussion with, he said that there are two kinds of different Yodas. You know, there's the prequel Yoda and the original trilogy Yoda. They're the same character, but they are at the same time a bit different, you know. My friend said that after he pointed it out, it did make sense. One Yoda was more serious, and like the other was more sort of slapstick and, you know, goofy, even though he did take things seriously sometimes. I mean, that was the Yoda that Luke knew, so okay, I'll give it that. there was a very tense scene where Kylo Ren almost shot down and killed his mother on her ship. This was the scene where she got sucked into space and survived somehow. He was about to shoot, he was about to gun her down, but then he stopped because he felt her presence there. But then two other fighters come up from behind him and shoot anyway, and she apparently dies in front of him. And it was a very, very nerve-wracking scene because you see that the Ben Solo inside of Kylo Ren is still there, you know, because when someone is consumed by the dark side of the Force, Luke says in the movie that they're never really fully gone. There's always still a bit of them there. And we see that. We see that when Kylo is unable to kill his own mother, even though he killed his own father. And I guess mothers have more of an effect, you know, the whole maternal thing. I don't know. But there are certain scenes. There was a very confusing scene when Rey was training. She goes into the part of the island where there's a lot of presence of the dark side, and she goes into that. She falls in, and then there's this really strange Inception scene. I'm not even gonna get into that. But on the island, while she's training with Luke, we get a bit of backstory on what happened. Like, Luke says that Kylo, you know, turned on him and went to the dark side and destroyed his Jedi temple. But then Kylo says that Luke tried to kill him, and, you know, that's why he destroyed the Jedi temple and ran away. We actually find out that both stories are kind of true if you mix them together. Luke saw Kylo, he sensed the darkness inside of him, went into his hut, and for a second, he considered killing Kylo. He drew his lightsaber, ignited it, and that woke up Kylo Ren. But then he, you know, regretted it. He said, no, I'm not going to do this. But then it was too late. Kylo took out his own lightsaber, and yeah. But anyway, they do meet again at the end of the movie. I'm not going to... Let's talk about the end of the movie. I was going to try to record my review in a certain order, but I'm just saying what comes to my mind first. At the end of the movie, at the climax, we see something very, very insane and epic that it took me a while to understand. But basically, we see Luke meeting up with his sister Leia, gives her a trinket, and then he goes out to face Kylo Ren because the Resistance, they're pinned down inside of this wall, inside of a cave that has only one exit, and the Empire, the First Order, is coming at them. But then Luke decides to step out and fight Kylo Ren one-on-one. When he gets outside, though, there's a really, really epic scene, probably the most epic scene in the entire movie, where every single one of the giant vehicles, like discount AT-ATs, they fire on him all at once, a bunch of shots, and then there's red salt flying everywhere all over the place. It's just such an epic scene. Then after it's over, after the smoke settles, Luke just walks out and he does this. Most epic scene in the whole movie. It's like, oh my god, like almost everyone in the movie theater clapped when that happened. And see, Luke takes out his lightsaber and he goes to face Kylo Ren, and it's a very short fight. And I thought it was kind of interesting how Luke doesn't even like touch him, you know, they don't actually lock lightsabers, and he misses him completely. There's no physical contact at all whatsoever. And then at the end, Luke extinguishes his lightsaber and says, "If you strike me down in anger, I will always be with you." And Kylo Ren, being the Kylo Ren that we know, goes after Luke, attempting to strike him down with anger. But that's where the interesting part comes in. His lightsaber goes straight through Luke. It passes through him. Like, and nothing happens, you know, it just goes right through him. That's kind of weird. And then he goes and tries to drive his lightsaber into Luke's chest, and nothing happens. Like, it goes through him, you know, almost like he's transparent. And then we get the whammy. Luke Skywalker, the actual Luke, is all the way back on his island, meditating, creating an illusion in front of Kylo Ren. Like, Jesus Christ, everyone in the theater started cheering and clapping when that happened, because Jesus Christ, it took me a few minutes to understand what happened, because afterwards, of course, the illusion fades away and Kylo Ren is left just screaming in rage, because that was actually a distraction. Luke made that happen so the Alliance could escape, you know, so that the Resistance could escape from Kylo Ren and his forces, and it actually worked. Everyone got away quickly. And it was awesome because Luke on the island itself, it took a lot out of him, because you see that he falls back kind of tired and everything, and it took a lot of energy out of him. And then he just fades away, he disappears, he becomes one with the Force, like Ben Kenobi did in episode 4 and Yoda did in episode 6 after he died. It was awesome because it was like, okay, so Luke's journey is finally over, you know. I don't even know how he did that. I don't understand how he did that. This same friend of mine, who is literally the biggest reference for Star Wars I have, I always talk to him about Star Wars. He's the one who got me into Star Wars, and he said that, hey, just goes to show you how powerful Luke is. And I guess in a way it makes sense, you know? I mean, I didn't really understand how Luke did that, but it did really go to show how strong he is in the Force. I think it was really important to establish the character of Rey more like powerfully, because you see, this new trilogy of Star Wars movies is mainly focusing on the story of Kylo Ren, Rey, and Luke Skywalker. Luke's story is pretty much over. I don't think he's gonna appear in the next movie unless it's, you know, as a Force spirit. But we're definitely gonna get more of Kylo Ren and Rey. Maybe the final epic showdown in which one of them will kill each other, will kill the other. And Rey became a lot more fleshed out as a character. She became more central to the new Star Wars universe, the what they're adding, and, you know, the plot itself. And she can handle herself a lot better now. She can use the Force much better, a lightsaber much better, you know. She has become a formidable opponent for Kylo Ren and a very powerful ally to the Resistance. But I just wish we could have seen even more backstory. Like, who exactly are Rey's parents? Like, until the year 2019, when episode 9 comes out, people are going to be theorizing out the wazoo with who her parents are, because it's pretty much been established that she's not Kylo's sister, so, you know, she can't be the daughter of Han Solo and Leia. So I guess maybe she is still Luke's daughter, maybe she's Obi-Wan's daughter. Those are the only two that we have left if you want to keep theorizing. I think that, but it was pretty much established that her parents were just junk, you know. They abandoned her on that planet. They weren't people of any significance at all, so yeah. And Snoke, it was important to see that Snoke was an original character, huh? So many people theorizing that he was someone who had already appeared and he was reincarnated. So many dumb theories. Anyway, I guess that's it for that whole Snoke thing. A very long time ago, I recorded this video talking about Snoke, so you guys can watch that later if you want. What else can I say? I get the strange feeling. I'm feeling a disturbance in the Force, like I'm forgetting to say something. There's a lot that went on in that movie. And, oh, Laura Dern. Laura Dern was playing a character. Very interesting to see Laura Dern, like, in such a high-profile movie. You know, she's been in Jurassic Park and movies of this sort, but it was just great to see her, you know, in a Star Wars movie. I really do enjoy her work. Now, the thing is, the cast was great. A very, very, very great ensemble cast. Daisy Ridley, again, killed in the role of Rey. And Adam Driver is getting better and better as Kylo Ren, you know. I was a bit skeptical about him in The Force Awakens, but honestly, he really outdid himself in this one. You can feel that the character is really conflicted, you know. You can see, it's literally Anakin Skywalker all over again. There's conflict inside of him to the point where you can see it on the surface, you know. He seems so indecisive about everything, you know. It's like he's either in the light or the dark, light, dark, but he's such a badass. Like in the movie, like after Snoke dies, he takes control in such a way that it's like, like you guys have to watch it to understand what I mean. You know, he Force pushes people around, Force chokes them, you know, and everyone agrees with him. And he still has that really weird lightsaber of his, though. Anyway, I do believe that's it. Finn appeared quite a lot in the movie, but not as much as in The Force Awakens, you know. Still a main character, though. Paul Dameron played a larger role, but he's kind of an asshole. He's almost like the Han Solo of the new trilogy, because he's like a rebel without a cause, you know. And he's like, you know, I don't take no for an answer. I do things my way. Nobody tells me what to do. And he did screw up a few times, you know. He gets demoted, actually, in rank. But he's still a really, really interesting character to have in these kinds of movies, you know, because we always need that one kind of rebellious, swashbuckling adventurer, the guy who just wants to blow stuff up, you know. And yeah. And of course, Carrie Fisher's performance as Leia Organa, or Leia Solo, very, 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 very intense. Mostly because we know that we're watching someone who's not with us anymore, and if that's to be her last role, then so be it. I think she filmed a few scenes for The Last Jedi, for the next Star Wars movie, but of course we can't use her, you know. My cousin was arguing with me we were discussing about whether or not the next movie would have her, like, well, the very few scenes that were filmed with her, or they're just going to exclude her completely. In my opinion, I don't even know, man. I don't even know. The Last Jedi had so many references to the other Star Wars movies before it that I'm surprised that there wasn't like a Death Star 3 or something, or some kind of battle station that someone had to blow up. And I think I'm kind of on par to decide if this movie is better than Rogue One, because Rogue One was pretty intense too. Now, it was much better than The Force Awakens, but I'm not sure if I could pin it over Rogue One just yet. I might have to watch it a second time, but it was still a good movie. It was really confusing because there's so many cuts all over the place and different things happening at once. And for a while, the movie was it sort of dragged on a bit, you know, it was kind of droll, kind of dull towards the middle, but after the middle onwards, it just became insanely awesome. I think it was over 2 hours long. It might be the longest Star Wars movie yet, but it was worth it. Like, I watched it with my cousins, and me and them were both clamoring, come on, just another half hour, give us another half hour. I hope this is going to be like the kind of Lord of the Rings thing, where there's an extended director's cut when it comes out on DVD. And we'll see where things go from here. Guys, I honestly don't remember what else I can say. There probably were a few more things, but maybe I'll follow up with another video later. I'm just like, because the movie is still playing. Bits of it are still playing in my head after watching it yesterday, so, you know, I can't really comprehend right now. But yeah, that's it. I also have other things on my mind. It's my birthday tomorrow, in case you guys want to put that on your calendar and shoot me a comment or two wishing me a happy birthday. I'm turning 25. Who would have thought? But anyway, I think that's it, guys. I think that's all I can say for now. That's all I can remember. There's also a scene at the very end of the movie, right before it ends, where there's a child who works as apparently a slave worker and a slave boy, and he's telling stories about, you know, the Alliance and the First Order and all the heroes and villains, and then he goes out and sweeps, you know, sort of like a drawback to Anakin back in Episode 1, how he started out as a slave boy. And then this same child looks up into the stars, and then the dramatic music starts to play like, hey, I'm destined for great things. So maybe, just maybe, we're going to be seeing a whole new character starting all over again from the prequel trilogy. So yeah, I think that's it, guys. I'm not sure how long this video is going to be, but I think I've said all I can say. The Last Jedi is now in theaters. Catch it if you can. You know, it's a very, very good movie. Whether you're a Star Wars fan or not, if you watch it, you might become a Star Wars fan. And I saw it in 3D, so it made the whole thing even better. That's it. I'm gonna go have some food now because I'm hungry. This is my review and discussion of The Last Jedi. You guys can drop a comment or two. We can discuss, you know, any plot points that any theories you want to share, anything you want to talk about. I'm open to discussions and suggestions. And tell me what you guys think about it, what you guys thought about it if you've watched it yet. And I guess that's it. God, something in the back of my mind I think I forgot to mention. Could talk about Laura Dern's character committing suicide for the good of the Alliance, letting them escape by literally crashing, hyperspacing her ship into the First Order ship. That was really awesome too. Really awesome scene. Finn tried to do the same thing, more of an honorable thing, but the little Japanese girl stopped him. Anyway, that's it. This is Igor Chesterfield signing off for now. Thank you guys, and I will see you all in my next video.